Hello everybody. I wanted to put together a quick video showing you some of the websites that you'll be using, showing you a little bit about Blackboard, and trying to help you make sense about the different things we got going on for our course, the My Stat Lab and Minitab and everything. You should be seeing my computer screen for this video so I can show you at least the instructor's view. The first thing I want you to be aware of is the different URL addresses. So when I go to Blackboard, I like to go to this address, the broom.open.suny.edu. That way I just go to the site directly and don't have to go through the SUNY Broom's My College system. So it's usually a little bit easier. If you do it this way, you have to sign in on this screen. I've got a whole list of courses over here. You guys should see significantly fewer. So we just select our course. If you go through the My College site, it's a little bit different. So the home page of our course, what you'll see are the announcements, so you can click on these different announcements. I will be annoying you a little bit. I like to post several announcements each week. I like to keep you informed or reminders on due dates and what you should be working on and things like that. The one area that you need to look at over the next couple of days is this course info and docs. It's got our syllabus, which our college calls a course policy. So please make sure you read over the syllabus. It's got the important information in terms of grading and everything as far as that goes. It gives you some information about our midterm and final. I'm working to get dates secured for those, so hopefully by the end of the week I'll have those and can post them. But please do read over this over the next couple days. It's also got my contact information up at the top. I check email quite frequently, so I try my best to get back to you in a timely fashion. Also, my office hours, those of you who are local, feel free to stop in. Those of you not local, feel free to call in. But remember, I'm available at other times by appointment. So if you want to email me to try to make a face-to-face appointment in my office or set up a phone call appointment, I'm always happy to try to work with students. Alright, so let me go back into Blackboard. So there are two, really three, I guess, areas that you want to always be aware of. The weekly folders. So I'm currently working to put together week 2. So for now, when you click in the weekly folders, you just see all this stuff because it's the first week. But once I get the week 2 folder ready, you'll see a folder for week 1, a folder for week 2. So this is just the week 1 folder. So each week what I'll do is organize where the first couple items are either a text message from me to you or the material. So for chapter 1, the first 4 sections, I did a narrated slideshow. So for these narrated slideshow notes, to be honest, some of them you probably don't need the narration for because everything can be put in text. But for others, I provide additional information outside of the text. So to play these, what you'll simply do is have it play the slideshow from the beginning. Alright, so in this narrated slideshow, turn up or down the volume as needed. Foundation. And I'm clicking through to show you how lengthy this particular one is. This is the longest slideshow there is because there's no template to fill in with a YouTube video. All of the notes are done through PowerPoint. Most of the PowerPoints are smaller than this because I just give you the background information and then give you a note template to print out and complete. So going back into this week 1 folder, there's a link to the discussion. You can get to the discussions also by clicking over here into discussions. And then it brings up the week 1 discussion, and then there's the threads that I've started. So a bunch of people have already posted. I like to give students a few days to work on the discussions and interact with each other. I did post a couple of quick replies the other day. I'll be back in tomorrow to reply to some more posts, but I tend to like to have you guys talk it out. So look for tomorrow answers to the questions you guys post and some of the other posts in there. Discussions are a great way to build up points. I think this one's worth 9 points. So make sure you just pay attention to discussions and get those done. And I link from each week, I link to the discussions. If anybody wants to work ahead in the notes by chapter area, here are the 10 chapters that we're definitely going to be looking at. We may look a little bit at chapter 11, but not sure we're going to look at that. So if anybody cared to look ahead, you could. However, what I'll do with each week is link you to the chapter contents in the weekly folders. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is my stat lab. So in this first weekly folder, you see a link to my stat lab, and it says the chapter 1 homework is available and is due on September 9th. So if I link to that, it'll take me to it, which is fine, but to type in the address, there's a whole bunch of web addresses that get linked to the same page. You can just type in my stat lab and it'll get redirected to this much longer name here, Pearson, MyLab, and Mastering.com, etc. There are directions in the course info and docs area for registering for my stat lab. So if you open that document and follow the directions or maybe print it out, it'll take you through the process. To register, you're going to click down here, register as a student, and it takes you through a bunch of information. You can sign up with whatever email address you want. It can be your Gmail or Yahoo. It doesn't have to be your SUNY Broom email. But once you are registered, then you'll click the top one to just sign in. So my information's already saved. Notice I got a bunch of these classes, so let's see, we're the online fall 2018. Okay, so your view is going to be a little bit different than mine, I would imagine, because I'm in an instructor view right now. However, when you sign in, there's going to be a little reminder on upcoming due dates or assignments. So right now we got chapter 1 homework due on the 9th of September at 11:59 at night. I want to first though, before I forget, I want to show you how you're going to access the e-textbook. So there's two different ways to do it. You see on the left panel over here the e-text link. So I'll click on view the e-text for my course. And then here's the book, and this is exactly what it'll look like if somebody has the hard copy. On the bottom here I can advance the pages. And this is exactly what the book looks like. There's another way to get to the textbook though. This multimedia library option lets you select a chapter. So let's suppose we were in chapter 5, probability, and we're dealing with probability rules. So you could select all to see all the resources available. There's a video that the publisher made. It's either the author of the textbook or somebody that works at Pearson. There's some chapter test prep videos that you can look at if you want to. Just a little FYI, we don't cover everything that's in the book. So if you're doing these My Stat Lab study plans or test prep videos, they might be talking about something that we don't need for our class. So I just want to see the multimedia textbook, fingers crossed. Pops up quickly, probability rules. Let's hope it loads quickly. Sometimes what happens is that you need to download and install some drivers or some applets or things like that. So sometimes people that try this will get an error message, like similar to how sometimes you're trying to open a file and it says, hey, you need the newest Flash player or something like that. So here's what the book looks like if you had it. Again, you can advance to the next page. So you get to read the examples, and I admit some of the sections in this book are weaker than others. Some sections they have really good examples, and other sections it struggles a little bit. But anyway, this is the textbook, and at the end of the textbook you'll see the homework problems. Now these homework problems at the end of the sections, these are the problems that are listed in our syllabus at the end for practice. Alright, so if you want to get an actual textbook to go along with your My Math Lab, I advise you to probably steer away from the 5th edition, because the 5th edition is newer and it's expensive. If you buy it at our bookstore, I think it's $200 or something ridiculous. You can rent it for about $25 to $30 online, or if you look on, do a Google search or look on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, the 4th edition of the textbook is available used for anywhere between like $7 and $15 on different sites. And what I did was made a 4th edition version of an assignment sheet and a 5th edition version of an assignment sheet. So regardless of whether you have the 4th or 5th edition, here is like your list of midterm and final exam study questions. I pick final exam and midterm problems either based on this list of homework problems or based on the class examples or assignments we do on Blackboard. So hopefully none of you will ever be surprised by a question that you see on the midterm or the final. The midterm and final do have to be proctored, so that's why I'm looking for getting the time slots on campus set up. I have proctoring centers that students have used before that I can recommend in Syracuse, Rochester, New York City, and a couple other places. Or you can come on to campus and take it with me. For the midterm, you're going to get the front side of a page to make up your own cheat sheet. For the final, you'll get front and back of a page to make up a cheat sheet for. Alright. So going back to my stat lab for a minute, you've got access to the ebook that way. And if I click on this chapter 1 homework, there's a bunch of questions for chapter 1, but that's because a lot of them are vocabulary or very short. Now notice up here it says attempts 3 per question. That means you can get it wrong twice and still try a third time. So let me just pick, I just picked 26. I don't know what question that is yet. So again, this is one of those definition problems. So we're talking about sampling plans. It says something is obtained by dividing the population into homogeneous groups and randomly selecting individuals for each group. So it is not a convenient sample, but let's say I chose convenient sample and I checked my answer. Tells me, sorry, that's not correct. Since this was just a definition, it says review the definition. But if it's a problem that requires work, it gives you a hint in here on how to solve the problem. Up here on the right, there are these question helps. These questions, some of them will have all of these helps, others will have fewer, but there are things that you can do to get help on it. If you want to email me a question, you can ask your instructor. If you want to watch a video showing how to do it, you can do that. If you want a link to the textbook where they talk about this, you can do that. Also, let's say I change it to cluster sample and say, all right, check my answer. I got it wrong again. And then I can try a different one. Hey, stratified. Notice it says final check this time because I had 3 chances to do it. So this is my final chance to get this one right. I'll leave you in suspense whether that's the right answer or not. But anyway, the homework's nice. You get multiple tries. On problems requiring work, what typically happens is they lead you through some hints, and then when they mark it wrong, there's a little thing down here by the final check that'll say try similar exercise. So you can click on try the similar exercise for your second chance at doing the problem. So I'm going to try to keep my stat lab assignments open for about 2 weeks or so. That way late missing a chance to do one or having it late shouldn't happen, because you'll have a ton of time to get them done. But anyway, my stat lab is where we'll go for the homework for the chapters. The final thing I wanted to talk about in this video is Minitab. Being an online class, I give you a little bit more flexibility than I give the face-to-face students. Minitab is a requirement of the course, but I don't make you use it as much as I make the face-to-face students use it. If you want to use Excel for certain things, you can, or other technology, you can. There's only going to be a couple of assignments this semester that absolutely require Minitab, and I have to require Minitab for a few things as a requirement of the class. So on campus, we have Minitab in the math lab, which if you can make it to campus, the math lab is the basement of the library building, room 010. They have about 8 computers or so that have Minitab on it, so feel free to go there to use Minitab. There's a lab in the applied tech building, room 014, where a good portion of those computers have Minitab as well. Off campus, what you can do is use this application portal site, apps.sunybroom.edu. So I'm going to go there, apps.sunybroom.edu. I've got to sign in with my SUNY Broom credentials. The first time you access this, there might be a little thing to click below that sign in that says use the light version. If that's available, click it, use the light version. If that's not there, or you don't use the light version, then you're probably going to have to install something called a Citrix server client, which takes about 5 minutes to run through and install on your computer. But if you have an option to just use the light version, do that. Please, please, please use Minitab 17. Both Minitab 17 and 18 are available right now, but Minitab 18 won't open a Minitab 17, or vice versa rather. Minitab 17 won't open a Minitab 18 file. So either just use Minitab 17, or if you are in Minitab 18, if you save anything, please make sure you save it as a Minitab 17 file. So anyway, Minitab 17 is what I'll ask you to use. I'm going to have another video that I post a little later on showing you how to do some stuff in Minitab. For now, you don't have to worry too much about Minitab for the first week. And notice it's going to take a little bit for this to open up. I'm actually surprised I was able to access the Citrix site there so quickly. And doing that from a computer on campus sometimes creates problems. I'm only going to give this about 20 more seconds. If it's not loaded, I'll just exit out and move on. Again, I will post another video in the next week or two showing you how to do some things on Minitab. Alright, too impatient, and I've recorded for a good amount of time here. So that shows you a few of the websites and a little bit about Blackboard. The deal for this week is post in the discussions and kind of start getting used to this stuff. In that weekly folder, I've given you a practice assignment. Each week you'll typically have an assignment due on Saturday night. Sometimes the assignments are more lengthy, so I give you a couple weeks and it'll be due not that coming Saturday but the next. And the way you're going to do these is read the directions, open up the file, print it out. Since this is a practice, it's not really statistics based like here, hey, sketch a picture of a jack-o'-lantern. But in an actual assignment, it might be saying, hey, attached is a data set, make this graph or whatever. So you'd print this out, fill this in by hand, because the purpose of this practice one is when we do have those assignments that want you to print something out and do it by hand, those are the ones students have a harder time with. The ones that you can just type in answers or copy paste Minitab stuff and save it as a Word document, students do better with those because it's just technologically easier to save the Word document and attach it. So what I'm asking you to do is print this out, fill it in by hand, and then try the Cam Scanner app. I'm talking about Cam Scanner in here. This is what I use to post PDF files on Blackboard of my work. Or if you actually have a scanner at home, that'll be fine. But it's much easier if you scan the whole document or use Cam Scanner to take a batch picture of each page and then save it as one PDF to submit. Once you've got all your work done and saved on your computer, what you'll do is come back into this assignment Dropbox and click into it. It tells you the due date. I made this 0 points because this is just for practice. And then what you'll do is, hey, browse your computer, find the document you want to attach and submit it that way. So this way in week 1 you get a chance to just work through this process. And as I set up here, students that just take regular pictures of your work and then try to attach it, if that picture won't open because it's a weird extension, or if it opens and is just too blurry to read, unless there's time for me to contact you and resubmit it before it's due, unless that's the case, I gotta grade those as zeros. So scanning in things and saving them as PDFs tends to work a lot better. Well, I hope your first week in this class and all your classes goes smoothly. Looking forward to learning some statistics and working with you all this semester. And if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. Have a good night, everybody.